Ukraine's allies, making up the so-called Coalition of the Willing, are meeting in Paris alongside Ukraine's President Zelensky. They are trying to solidify ways to end the war and give Ukraine future security guarantees. Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff are there representing the US, but the meeting is overshadowed by the Trump administration's continued threat to take over Greenland, as well as the events over the weekend in Venezuela. Well, let's talk to the former UK ambassador to Ukraine and author of a book on diplomacy. Lee Turner joins us live on the programme. Lee, welcome here to BBC News. What needs to come out of today's meeting, do you think?
Well, Matthew, this meeting is completely overshadowed by two things. First of all, it's the US actions in Venezuela, which are really a body blow to all supporters of Ukraine. One of the main accusations against President Putin and Russia has been that their invasion of Ukraine tramples on the principle of territorial integrity, i.e. the principle that you can't just march into another country and occupy it. And first of all, Trump in Ukraine seemed not to care about that principle very much. He seemed very happy to agree to a deal that would give Russia parts of Ukraine. And now his actions in Venezuela, one of your interviewees just now was talking about him being a bit cavalier about boots on the ground, really undermines the principle of territorial integrity. And then there's Greenland, where the president seems not to grasp or not to care about the extent to which this undermines all arguments against Russia's actions, or is set to trigger future conflicts when every country in the world says, well, I think we'll take a bit of our neighbour because the Russians can do it and the US are talking about it. And when it comes to Greenland, of course, Greenland is the territory of a US ally, Denmark, a NATO member. The US already has a base there, Pituffik, and there's nothing to stop it setting up more with Denmark's agreement. The idea the US must take it makes no sense at all. So we are faced at this meeting of the Coalition of the Willing in Paris by the prospect of NATO unity, maybe NATO itself, being destroyed, which would massively complicate efforts to help Ukraine, as well as undermining a NATO system that's protected us all since 1949.
I'll come to Ukraine explicitly in a moment, but I heard analysis earlier in the day saying European leaders over recent months were managing Trump, not confronting Trump. Are we fast approaching the moment when it comes to Greenland that he does have to be confronted?
There is an extent to which Greenland looks like a zero-sum game unless somebody can introduce some kind of third way out of this mess, because if the US insists on occupying Greenland, which is part of Denmark, a self-governing part of Denmark, that will be an act of war. There's no way around it.
Yes.
If the Danes or other NATO members can come up with some formula where they can persuade the US that they can set up more bases if they need them within the context of NATO membership and without some kind of land grab, that might offer a way out. But at the moment, it's looking very grim, I must say.
I've only got about a minute left, so briefly on this and coming back to Ukraine, we are at an extraordinary position, aren't we, where we're talking a lot about what happens if there is a ceasefire with absolutely no indication from Moscow, from Putin, that he's interested in one.
The Russians have not moved 1 inch up to now since 2022 in their maximalist demands. President Trump doesn't seem to be interested in putting any pressure on them. Result, Matthew, is that we have no way forward on territory, where Russia and Ukraine are completely at loggerheads. We have no agreement on security guarantees, where the Coalition of the Willing is setting up an arrangement to which Russia has made no indication it will agree. So we're pretty much stuck. And all this means that the UK and the Europeans must really step up to defend Ukraine, because it doesn't look as if the US is going to help us very much.
20 seconds. How dangerous is this crossroads?
I think the Greenland element is particularly dangerous because it's hard to see a way out of this without destroying NATO.